For a one-dish dinner that's sure to satisfy those fall comfort food cravings, try this chicken pie. It's everything you love about its crusty cousin, only with the delight of savory, perfectly pillowy biscuits baked right on top. Alright guys, we'll kick things off by adding some olive oil to a 12-inch cast iron skillet over medium heat and adding in a mirepoix, that's diced carrots, celery, and onions, and then we'll season those up with some ground thyme, oregano, salt and pepper of course, a little bit of poultry seasoning, and some garlic powder, and we'll go ahead and sweat those out for 5 to 7 minutes until those veggies soften and the herbs and spices have had a chance to wake up in that hot olive oil. Guys, I love this recipe so much because it's a great combination of a traditional chicken pot pie filling with a savory, delightful biscuit topping as opposed to the traditional crust. Kind of combines elements of a chicken pot pie and traditional chicken and pastry or chicken and biscuits, which is often a little more soupy. But anyways, we'll add a little bit of butter along with flour to make a traditional roux here. And guys, as always, exact amounts will be down below, so if you want to make this at home, which I highly recommend, all the instructions will be down there for you. Once those veggies are softened and that flour and butter have come together, we'll go ahead and deglaze the skillet with about a cup or so of white wine. That's optional, could just be stock if you have any aversion to using wine in your cooking. We'll go ahead and let that hydrate that flour and butter, and also let some of that wine cook off. It's some of the alcohol cook out. Once it's mostly reduced, we'll go ahead and add in a couple cups of low sodium or unsalted chicken stock. As always, I prefer to use the low sodium kind so you can control the salt factors to your taste. We'll go ahead and bring that up to a simmer, kind of stir and whisk around, hydrating all that flour that's in there so it thickens up nicely for us. And we'll just simmer that for about 10 minutes until those veggies are nice and softened and it has reduced and thickened, at which point we'll add a little bit of cream for richness and one whole rotisserie chicken, which I shredded thoroughly. You could definitely cook your own chicken here, but that's one store-bought shortcut I never mind taking. Love a good rotisserie chicken. Once we dump that in, we'll add some frozen peas, and then you can just kill the heat on this. We're going to bake it in the oven, so no need to cook those peas and warm all that chicken through just yet. Just set it to the side, and we can turn our attention to our biscuits. We'll start off by adding some all-purpose flour to a large bowl. Next up, about a tablespoon of baking powder, half teaspoon of baking soda, a little bit of garlic powder. And I want to make these savory, so a pinch of salt goes in, along with 1 stick of butter. Now, you could either cube this up and cut it in, or I love using my box grater and just grating it in. But either way, we want small pieces of ice butter to be distributed all throughout this flour mixture. So I'm just going to go in there with a spatula so the warmth from my fingers doesn't melt that butter too quickly, and crumble up those chunks of butter and fold it into the flour as well. It should kind of look like clumpy sand at this point. I'm going to add in about a cup or so of grated cheddar cheese, some honey for sweetness, and some scallions for a nice onion flavor and green color. We'll use buttermilk because these are buttermilk biscuits. And then you're just going to bring this dough together. It's going to be very shaggy and clumpy and lumpy, and it's not going to resemble anything that's going to look like it's going to hold together too much, but that's okay. Don't overwork it. Once you can kind of form it into one ball like I've got here, we'll turn it out onto a floured work surface and begin the laminating process. Now again, because we want tender flaky biscuits, we don't want to overmix this dough. So get a little board flour down, a little flour on the top so that nothing sticks. And we're going to roll this out until it's about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch or so thick. The shape does not matter, just get it to about a 1/2 inch thickness. And then go ahead and fold the bottom third up, the top third up, and then fold the sides in, kind of like a book. You're going to do this 1 to 2 times. Again, don't want to overdo it, but we do want to work that butter into as many layers as possible. Once you've done the laminating process a couple times, just go ahead and roll everything out to an even thickness, again looking for about a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. And then just take a biscuit cutter or a glass if you don't have one, and cut out as many biscuits as you can get from your rolled dough. You don't want to twist too much, as that's going to seal those edges, and we really don't want them to seal. We want them to rise and puff up in the oven. So we'll go ahead and lay down enough biscuits to cover the top of our chicken pie. Should take about 10 to 12. We'll brush the top with a little bit of buttermilk. And then we're going to throw this into a 425-degree oven for about 20 minutes or so. Again, just until those biscuits are cooked through. Our pie filling is already ready to go. We've just got to heat those peas and chicken through. As you can see, put down a few Dollops of extra cheese just for a little garnish on top of those biscuits. That's optional, but I love that nice, deep, dark brown color it gets when it melts and goes golden brown in the oven. That beautiful filling is just bubbling. We're gonna let this sit for like 15 minutes. I know it's tempting to dive right in, but let it sit for just a little bit. I'm gonna hit mine with a few green onions on top for a nice pop of green. And these biscuits are absolutely divine, everyone. I absolutely love the cheesy onion flavors, but that little hint of sweetness from the honey. These biscuits are incredibly tender and so flaky and so savory. They just pair wonderfully with that rich chicken pie filling. And taking a bite out of this, y'all, it is just absolutely like getting a big old hug and having someone wrap their arms around you, give you a big old bear hug in the culinary sense of the word, of course. I highly recommend you give this a try. Just do be careful if you're going to eat it out of the pan like I do. That handle's going to be really hot, so yeah, just watch out for that. But anyways, now it's your turn to get out of here and go make something delicious.